Good morning. My name is Vikram Gupta and I'm a manager at Arthur D. Little. I'm in London today to attend the Big Data seminar, and today I'm going to speak about how to operationalize big data. Good morning, everybody. As Mark was mentioning that most of us realize that there is a lot of value in big data, but it's the operationalizing aspect of it that creates one of the major challenges. So I thought that I'd rather focus my presentation today on some of the ways in which operator could actually start to operationalize big data. What does it mean in terms of the organizational setup in order to take advantages from the whole opportunity that big data space opens up for us? So my presentation today is going to focus more on our experiences and how we have tried to help some of the operators in terms of operationalizing big data goldmine. By way of introduction, if you don't know a little bit about Arthur D. Little, we are actually the world's first management consulting firm. We were set up in 1886. And over the last 125, 130 years, we have been working on a range of areas overall in terms of advising senior Fortune 500 clients. I come from the telecoms and media practice, and I also specialize within that one in terms of the big data and how to digitize and how to help operators in terms of the digitalization strategy overall. So, kicking off this presentation today, how to gain value from big data. What are the key three things that operators need to understand before they can start to operationalize and take value from this thing? There are key three things that operators need to look at. The first thing, the most important thing, is to have an overall big data business strategy. So what that will entail is essentially, are we going to go for top-line growth? Are we going to develop new business ventures in order to take advantage from big data? Or is my strategy going to be focused on reducing cost in the network? Or forget about revenue growth or cost reduction. Do I want to focus more on improving customer experience? Do I want to get some better intelligence? Is that my focus of using big data? So first of all, it is very important that the overall strategy, the key thing that an operator needs to get out from big data, gets very clear. Based on that one, they need to assess their own capability and their own maturity with regards to some of those initiatives, and then develop a pilot across those. The second aspect is about the big data transformation. What do we mean by that? Big data transformation would mean that you need to understand what is the culture within your organization. How is your organization set up in terms of its operating models to take advantage of the overall big data setup? Are there the right kind of people within the organization who can take forward the big data initiatives? It's very important for all of us to focus on that transformation journey, and then start looking at the number three, which is the technology aspect. What is the technology that I use? What is the capability within my organization to take use of some of those technologies? How do I assess whether the technology fits with my strategy in terms of either monetizing new initiatives or reducing cost within the network? It's very important that you take a look at the technology at the very end, once you have actually first of all looked at the overall strategy, then looked at the capability assessment within your organization, and only then go towards technology. Technology, and that is something that I will repeat during the course of this presentation, technology should not be the driver for big data. The business has to be the driver for big data. You have to realize what value you're going to get out of it, and then technology needs to be an enabler. So overall, the key message here is that it's very vital to align all these three components of strategy, the transformation journey, and the technology management in order to get value out of big data overall. One of the key things that Mark just mentioned in his presentation was the fact that most of the operators think that the information is highly siloed, right? It's existing in their own little pockets of information, and everybody knows, okay, if I want this report, I can go to this person or to this department and get my report out. And that's exactly the thing that is happening in our understanding as well. We clearly see that the existing business models are insufficient, totally insufficient to exploit the opportunities that big data offers. You can clearly see here that in such a siloed network, there are very, very small data sets that exist somewhere, and people are just happy to create reports from those things. It's all internally focused. You don't see any third-party data set coming into this one. There is so much information out there that you can exploit and make use of, and create such an interesting use cases, and that is not happening with this kind of an approach. Everybody is just, making use of their own transactional data. I am comfortable preparing this report that I have been preparing for the last 2 years, and I'll continue doing that one. There is no initiative, there is no drive to take it to the next level, right? And that is where you see some new agile organizations coming in and making use of not this, but some other additional tweaks of data on top of that one, and creating some additional value to the customer. And the customer just gets gravitated towards those players. So what can we do to move away from this thing? We all understand that, we are all living in silos. I don't think there is anybody in this room here or in the wider set who would disagree with this thing. Right? We all understand that we need to move away from this siloed architecture rule. We need to put in an analytical engine. We need to put a more advanced, if I call, some sort of an intelligence layer on top of this one that can actually make use of, keep on using your current systems, but just link them in a more intelligent way. Okay? Not have a person looking at just small sets of data, but be able to look at large volumes of data. Let me give you a very simple example. Okay, you've got, for example, an HR system in your organization, and you've got, let's say, a capability assessment system in your organization. Okay, an HR system will look at payroll and things like that, and capability assessment system will look at your appraisal feedback and things like that. What if, if those two, very simply speaking, if those two systems could speak with each other? Okay, in terms of, there is a new job description that I want to create within my organization. Okay, first of all, without going to the external market, can I quickly internally search what kind of people have developed in my organization from the time that they joined the organization? I've given them new trainings in the last few years. Can those databases be combined to give me a more intelligent information of where my people stand right now? What is their capability before I advertise a job externally, can I advertise my job internally, and then people could apply accordingly to those things. So it's not about reinventing the total wheel. It's a set of very simple steps that can combine your internal databases, your internal data sets, to come up with very simple, more intelligent information that gives you much more value than a simple report. How many people do I have at this grade? How long have we been at this grade? Okay. It's the analytics layer that I'm showing in between here is the key part that I'm saying that will be able to add value. Now, the most important question comes here, and I'll focus a lot more on this aspect about this analytics layer, is where does this analytics layer sit? Okay. Does it need to be within your organization, or can it be outside your organization? There can be different answers to that one. If it's within your organization, who owns this analytics layer? Okay. Is this something that is owned by the IT department? Is this something that, as Mark mentioned, in most of the respondents that he received, it was the chief marketing officer that owned that one? Is it in that department? Or is it split up across the different marketing units? Is it split up across your, consumer unit, the business unit, the wholesale unit? We will try to delve a little bit into those topics, try to see what makes sense, and what could be the parameters based on which we can decide where to set up this kind of an analytics engine in your organization. So, primarily speaking, there are 5 key capabilities that we need to look at in terms of before we become really good at monetizing or reducing cost via big data initiatives. The layer at the bottom, the bottommost layer, which is the technology and the information management layer, this is where we want to, set up the basic rules around data governance. Okay, this is the most important layer. Even if you don't get anything else right, this is where we need to spend most of our time. This is where we are saying, these are the technologies that we will have overall. This is how the data will be governed. These are the different data sets I'm going to use. This is going to be the overall data model. This is the kind of event-driven architecture that I'll go towards. So unless and until I've got clear, so once I have got a clear basic rules around my technology and information management platform, how am I going to set it up? What are the different systems that are going to speak with each other. How am I going to scale it up or scale it down based on the types of requirements I have? This is the basic, most important layer at the bottom of your pyramid. On top of that one, once you've got your basic technology platform set up, generating reports from that one is going to be very, very easy, right? That's the kind of example that I gave you earlier in terms of you can have an HR system, you can have a capability system, you can have a finance system and things. But now, instead of creating your just very, very standard reports, you can create them on an ad hoc basis as well. So in terms of just having your, these are the weekly reports that I used to create, or the monthly reports that I used to create, or the quarterly reports. Now people can create their own ad hoc reports. They can link different data sets together to be able to come up with a new innovative report, rather than going back to a person in the IT department or some other department who will take 3, 4, 5 days to revert, and their report will be part of a long queue for which they have to wait. Now people could have the capability to create reports on their own of exactly the kind of parameters that they're looking at. Okay? And then on top of that one becomes the business intelligence layer. So I think reporting and business intelligence is kind of related, where we are saying that instead of creating very standard reports, now you can create reports that help the drive business forward. Okay? You're not only looking at very standard reports, but you're really creating more intelligent reports from just the basic data that you have, okay, and trying to take the business forward. This is where you're able to draw more and more insights from the different aspects of your business lines and take it forward. Now comes the real big data part that I start to call, which is the advanced analytics. Okay, now this is where once you have got a solid technology and information management platform in your network, now you can start to add the intelligence around bringing third-party data sets in. Now you can start to bring in more statistical models inside your network. Now you are able to look at, very interesting models like churn reduction using, really advanced analytics. You can start to look at predictive modeling around if some of my competitors introduce an offer X, what kind of impact will it have on my own churn? Okay, and we have seen some operators develop some really, really advanced analytical models around this one. Okay, there's an operator across the border from here, and they have developed a really advanced analytical model that can do event-based churn modeling. So if one of their competitors introduces a new offer at this price, what offer should they introduce in the market in order to reduce their churn? Or they have also been able to come up with offers like, if one of my customers is about to hit their data limit, okay, what kind of offer should I go back to them with so that they start taking up more data? Okay, and they have seen the take up of their offers increase from just under 2% to as much as 40%, just by using advanced data analytics around this aspect about what kind of device does the customer have, what usage do they have, are they watching more videos or are they doing more browsing, what kind of videos are they watching, are they doing more P2P stuff, all that information you have, everybody has in their systems. It's how you're able to bring it all together in a manner that you can not only react but proactively influence customers' behavior, is what happens at this stage. And finally, the data scientists at the very top. Now this is where we are saying that, it is all about continuous R&D. You're not going to hit the bullseye the very first time. It's about a lot of hard work. When we spoke to this organization that they just spoke about, they spent hundreds and thousands of hours developing their algorithm. They didn't get their algorithm right the very first time. They didn't get their algorithm right the second time. They had to work hard over and over and over again until they hit the right algorithm. All the variables that they needed to get that algorithm right took a lot of effort. And that's where data scientists can work with your entire team, think about new innovative solutions, think about the right technology, and then come up with the overall predictive analytical models as such. Moving on. Now, earlier we mentioned about this analytical layer and where should it sit as part of the organization overall. Here is just some 3 factors that I have highlighted on the left-hand side. And if you look at the one at the very top, what is the what is the current maturity of your data and business intelligence processes? If you do an audit within your organization, right, and take a look at how mature are your current business intelligence processes, how mature are your storage of data processes inside your own organization. I think if you have got a very high maturity, we believe that you are an organization that could have a much more decentralized data analytics organization in your company. The data could be stored at multiple layers, and you could have different people working on their own basis to be able to monetize the big data initiatives overall. I'll look at number 2 later, but similarly on the point number 3, where we're talking about availability of advanced analytical skill sets in your organization. If you've got a large number of people who are analytically advanced, if you're able to recruit those kind of people much more comfortably from universities or from other companies in your region, of course, then you can have a much more decentralized decentralized organization in terms of analytics. But if you just cannot do that, I'll give you an example in the Middle East. We've worked with some operators in the Middle East, and it's absolutely impossible for them to get 1 or even 2 good guys. Forget about 44 people that Proximus was talking about. If you're in an economy or in a region where you just do not have the right kind of talent, forget about having a decentralized model. Even a centralized model is going to be difficult for you. In that case, we would suggest that you kind of outsource your analytical capabilities to, there are some nice KPOs out there who can do that for you. So these are the 2 factors. Similarly, I'll just, on point number 2, focus on third-party monetization. If you're much more focused on third-party monetization, then instead of having it as part of a centralized rule, we would say having it decentralized, I suggest you go for a very, very centralized rule where you can be very sure the data that you're sharing with your third parties is safe, secure, doesn't violate any of the privacy agreements overall. So there are different factors that you need to go through in order to evaluate how you should set up your analytical organization. Should it be centralized, decentralized, or is it something that you need to outsource to a KPO? And I believe most of the operators here are from Europe. My personal opinion here is that I think big data analytics is a core capability. It's going to be a core differentiator going forward, and you should try to have it in-house within your organizations. Don't think about outsourcing it right now. It's a very strong core differentiator going forward. Have it in-house. Start to invest in people. You don't always need the most the bright kids from analytical institutes and things like that. You can develop those technologies inside. Maybe partner a little bit in between, but then develop your own capabilities organically. What are the towards the last couple of slides in my overall presentation, what are the 5 golden rules that I think should govern your big data strategy overall? Point number 1 is it's about smarter decisions. And not only it's about smarter decisions, but it's about faster decisions about how to launch new product, when to launch new product, what customer experience measure should I offer, how do I introduce innovative, smart products that appeal to my own customers. How do I get new customers in? How do I attract a family instead of just attracting one individual in that overall family? Smart big data analytics can help you do that. Go for competitive advantage. As I said earlier, big data analytics offers you the potential to really, utilize the data that you already have. You're sitting on so much gold mine of data. We really call it a telco data gold mine. How do you use that technology? How do you apply it, learn from it, make mistakes, relearn and reapply, and then you hit that gold, gold pot at the very end. Third point, the business side needs to be in the driver's seat. I will keep on repeating that big data is a technology solution, but has to be driven by business. What am I going to get out of it? What am I going to get out of it? Am I going to get more revenue? Do I want to reduce my bottom line costs? Am I going to improve customer experience? We need to be really, really focused on that one. And once we are able to really pinpoint that thing, develop your pilots accordingly. It's not easy to do that. It's a big, long transformational journey. People really need to understand how it will impact your own business. Your own job profile will change. You will all have to learn new skills. Your job is not going to remain the same. It's going to be transformational. It's going to really impact your organization in a very short term time overall, and you have to be very prepared for that one. And manage the risks overall. We all understand that there are issues around data privacy, there are issues around data leakage. You have to be very cognizant of that one. Any bad press around this point can really scupper a lot of effort that you've already put into this space. One of the operators, again, had spent about 5 or 6 months of effort working around some of the small data initiatives, not big data, but around small data initiatives. And then there was data leak at the organization. Everything was put on hold. Everything was put on hold. All those people who are working around data, everything embargoed for a very long time. Be very, it's something that I'm a bit amazed that security came out at such a low rate as part of Mark's survey. But I would rate security to be extremely, extremely important. It's very important to manage the risks overall. And finally, I'll close off with this slide. I mean, I've repeated the same points. I just want to end it that from the planning stage to getting to the action stage, the first thing overall is, ascertain your ambition and strategic objectives. Prioritize what you want to do. Is it internal or external? And, then go forward. I think you can all read it, but I'll just close my presentation on this slide overall. Develop the strategy, have your organization model ready, then choose the technology, and then I'm sure all of you will be on the path to success. That's it. Thank you.